When we think about the law, our minds usually jump to punishment or courtrooms, right? But what if I told you there's a whole field of law that's not about punishment, but protection? One that lives right at that delicate intersection of healthcare and our fundamental human rights. Well, today, that's what we're diving into mental health law. Just think about that for a second. When a person is in the middle of a severe mental health crisis, when they're at their most vulnerable, who's there to make sure their voice is still heard, that their dignity is kept intact? The answer, it turns out, is found in a pretty complex but absolutely crucial legal framework. So, the best way to really wrap your head around these laws is to think of them as a shield. It's a system that's literally designed to safeguard individuals, making sure they get the care they need while fiercely defending their rights. Okay, so how does the shield actually work? What's it made of? To get that, we need to take a look at its legal blueprint, the core components that give it all its strength. At its heart, mental health law is all about a balancing act. It's the rulebook for how people with mental health conditions are treated, and it's constantly weighing the need for care on one side against the absolute right to personal freedom on the other. And this shield we're talking about, it's not just one solid piece. It's really held up by three critical pillars, and each one is totally essential for protecting the patient. Let's break them down. First up, you've got patient rights. This is your right to be part of your own care plan, and that includes the huge right to give or refuse consent for treatment. Second, there are laws around involuntary commitment. Now, this is a really serious step, and there are strict legal hoops to jump through for when someone can be treated against their will, but only when they pose a clear danger to themselves or others. And third, confidentiality. Think of this as the legal lockbox that makes sure your personal health information stays private, period. So that's the theory. That's the blueprint. But what does all of this look like out in the wild, in the real world? This is where you see why this framework matters so much. You'll see this legal shield pop up in a few key areas. There are civil commitment laws, which deal with when someone might need hospitalization. You have criminal justice laws for those tough situations where mental illness intersects with the legal system. And then you've got disability rights laws, which are all about fighting discrimination and ensuring fair access to things like jobs and housing. Okay, this is where these abstract ideas get very real. Let's take a common and incredibly serious situation: involuntary treatment. Right here, the law gives families a vital tool for stepping in when someone they love just can't make safe decisions for themselves. It's definitely a last resort, but this is a perfect example of how that shield isn't just a metaphor, it can literally save someone's life. All right, so besides immediate safety, the law also stands guard over something else, something incredibly personal: your privacy. And this right here shows you that these laws aren't just suggestions, they have real teeth. A therapist breaking confidentiality isn't just a simple mistake, it's a legal violation. This protection is what gives people the trust they need to seek help in the first place, knowing their struggles will stay private. Understanding all this is one thing, but the whole point is empowerment. So let's think of this next section as your own personal toolkit. Some really practical steps you can take to advocate for yourself or for someone you care about. Look, knowing these laws exist is step one, but the real game changer? It's knowing how to use them. That's what turns this information into a real, practical tool you can use to make sure your voice is heard. So your toolkit really boils down to three vital steps. First up, know your rights. You have to understand what you're entitled to, like the right to say no to a particular treatment. Second, don't be afraid to seek legal advice. If you feel like your rights are being ignored, a lawyer who specializes in this is your best friend. And third, document everything. I mean it. A clear written record of treatments, conversations, and incidents is your most powerful asset. Okay, we've looked at the blueprint, we've seen how it works in the real world, and we've put together a toolkit. So let's bring it all home. Why does this area of law matter so much? When you boil it all down, it's this. Understanding these laws is a form of power. It's about empowering yourself. It's how we make sure that compassion and care always go hand in hand with dignity and respect for the person. Ultimately, mental health law is all about that balance we talked about. It's a framework built to make sure that even in your most vulnerable moments, your voice is still heard, your choices are respected, and your fundamental human rights are always protected. So we've talked a lot about this legal shield. It's designed to protect, right? But it leaves us with a really important question. In a world where not everyone has the same access to care, with all the systemic challenges we face, is that shield truly strong enough for everyone it's meant to cover?
Something to think about.